This has actually been an event I've been to many times. And so to me, this sort of event, this sort of convening of bringing Africans across the board, across borders, irrespective of whether you're Francophone, Anglophone, Lusophone, or Arab, creates an opportunity for us to collaborate and to do things on a bigger scale. Through this actually is how I was able to build significant relationships and ended up doing business in many parts of Francophone Africa. So the theme of this edition is the economic sovereignty of Africa. And what I've always maintained is that while we achieved political independence as a continent, we do not have and have not achieved economic independence. Kwame Nkrumah, one of the forefathers of our independence, said, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all else will follow." We did seek the political kingdom, but the economic kingdom has not yet come. Why is that? I think part of what has led this is because as a continent, we have not actually come to the table as equals, right? We're not the producer, we're often the consumer. We're rarely the rule maker, we're almost often the rule abider. We're not the architect of the infrastructure, we're just the end user. And so we never actually play a role from inception, from design, and these systems in which we're a part of are not systems that we're even a part of their very design. And so it comes off as no surprise that these systems are not optimized for Africa. We currently are 1.3 billion people, 15% of global population. We're going to be 25% of global population in 2050. 40% of global population by the end of the century. The end of the century is going to be 10 billion people globally. 4 billion in Africa, 4 billion in Asia, 1 billion in Europe, 1 billion in the United States and South America and Canada. 4 billion, 40%. More importantly, 70% of the global youth force, the labor force that's going to power the global economy, will be African. This is the great promise, and this is the question around, do we have a demographic dividend or a demographic disaster? The difference lies in the decisions we make today. Are we going to invest in the healthcare systems to make sure that we actually have healthy, productive citizenry? I keep saying that our greatest resource is not the incredible mineral wealth God has endowed us with. Our greatest wealth is our human capital, our brains. And you see this. Africans are some of the most successful people in the rest of the world. So the reason I keep going back to human capital, we have all the resources. We're literally the wealthiest continent in the world. What do we gain from these resources? The lack of leadership, the lack of strong governance. And by that, I'm not talking about, I don't even look to the West. I look internally at ourselves. The democracy the international community pulls for is what I call performative democracy. Democracy on paper, where we say, stamp, stamp, we have elections. But that's not what democracy is all about. Democracy is about representing the will of the people. And the will of the people is to have stable, growing economies that have shared prosperity and not the sorts of inequalities we have, where it's concentrated in these political oligopolies that control our economies. Not an economy that's dominated by global elites, right? And so those things need to be fixed. I always have this argument with people that I don't see anybody, my entire life, I've only known one head of Germany, Angela Merkel, 16 years. I didn't hear anybody lecture in Germany about term limits because Germany delivered. Under her leadership, she delivered prosperity. She delivered strong governance. And for a long time, we used to joke, she's the only adult in the room.